Good evening, beautiful people of Lake Orion. I hope this fall day is treating you well. My name's Ian Witherspoon. I'm your host, and I am Between Taorminas. Welcome to the program. Hope everything's been well for you. Lions have won another miracle. That's good. Let's talk about it. What do you think, Sam?
What do I think?
Yeah.
The Lions! I can't believe it.
And your thoughts?
Wow. All I can say. They
Wow.
found a kicker.
Kind of.
Except
They missed the first one.
It
shorter.
They should have lost that one.
Yep.
Should have lost that one.
What do we call this first half of the Lions season? What is our word for it?
SOS. Not going to say it on there. But we've seen it somewhere before.
Where?
They were 6-2 last year.
Okay.
And look what happened.
Yes.
They went 1-7 down the stretch.
Ugh.
So let's see. They have a bye week this week.
Yep.
Then their schedule gets really fun.
Mm-hmm.
They play Miami. They got to go to New England. You got to go to Arizona. You got to go to Green Bay.
Got to go to Chicago.
Chicago's not. Chicago's an
You
easy
still
trip.
got to go to Chicago in the
Chicago's an
wintertime.
easy trip, especially with Chicago's an easy trip now because the Bears suck.
They do suck.
They do suck.
But
yeah.
you're playing in Chicago in the wintertime.
That's
It's not
fine.
easy.
That's fine.
It's not fine.
It's fine.
Why is that fine?
Especially if they're playing. If it's gonna be like, I wish they played like they did in Philly last year. Can you just imagine playing 4 inches of snow?
I don't want to watch that again.
That would be funny.
Yeah,
Yeah.
watching Stafford have the ball flip over his head and LaShawn McCoy run all over us. That was a good time. I
That was
enjoyed
a
that.
good time. You know,
Your brother's sick.
where would the Lions be without Golden Tate?
Good point.
Where would the Lions be if you look at Golden Tate is playing as good as advertised and maybe better,
He's a
especially with
numero-
Calvin Johnson being out. You looked what the Lions played. They were without Calvin. They were without Reggie Bush. They were without their tight ends.
Mm-hmm.
They were also without Nick Fairley for most of the game on defense.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at the Lions' resiliency has been tested. And I think this year is a little bit different because the Lions have experienced that feeling before, being 6-2 and going 1-7. I think that the Lions are going to have that experience on their side. They don't want to go through that again. And I think that it's going to be a little bit different this time. The schedule is tough, though, for this team. You still got to look at the schedule, for goodness sakes. And where do you chalk up a game where they can win? Maybe Chicago at home. You know you can win at Minnesota. The win against Minnesota. You know.
All right, you got 2 Chicago games.
2 Chicago games. I
You
think
got
they'll
a
win both of them.
Minnesota game.
I think they'll win that one.
You got a Tampa Bay game.
They'll win that one.
You got a Miami game.
That's a loss.
Why is that
Why
a
that
loss?
loss?
That's at
Because
home.
Miami had a defense.
They're not world
They're not
beaters.
world leaders. Miami's got a defense. Look what they did to Jacksonville. They took 2 touchdowns. They took 2 interceptions back for touchdowns.
Jacksonville.
Jacksonville, yes.
That doesn't count.
It does
That's
count.
like saying, look what they did to us 3. If
Yeah.
we played, we could do better than Jacksonville.
But we did lose to the Buffalo Bills, which
All right,
is not
easy.
good.
Yeah,
well, actually,
fella.
they've been playing better football, actually, Buffalo has.
All right,
So that loss may not kill us.
there's 5
That does
winnable
kill us.
games. That's 5 winnable games.
Right. And they got 6
That's
of
5 winnable games.
them. Right.
Then you got to go to Green Bay.
Loss.
You got to go to Foxborough.
Loss.
And you got to go to
Arizona.
where
Loss.
they don't win football games.
Right. I'm surprised that the Lions and the Patriots is not a Sunday night football game.
Yeah, it could
I
be.
think that that's gonna if it is a Sunday night, I think that should be a perfect Sunday night football game because you're looking at the Lions at this point or at that point will probably have Calvin back, they'll have Reggie back, they'll have all the pieces back offensively, and then you look at the defense. You know, even though with the loss of Fairley, you've got that defense is still one of the more aggressive defenses on football. Let's see how Tom Brady goes against who is the number one defense.
Every single pass coverage. My God.
But the Lions corners.
What about when he got Sue in your face?
That is true.
What about that?
That is true. And Sue is a free agent after this year.
Oh, he's playing inspired.
Mm-hmm.
He's playing well. He's not filling up the stat sheet, but he's clogging up the center lane.
Mm-hmm.
And they are not being able to run on us.
Mm-hmm.
Except Steven Jackson did have a good first half.
Mm-hmm.
Lions' first half was terrible in London.
They didn't wake up.
They were not awake.
They did not wake up in the first half. Steven Jackson got whatever, and it was very frustrating to watch as a Lions fan in the first half, especially this defense is better than that. You're watching Atlanta go all over the place.
They scored 21
And of all
points.
all the teams, you have the Atlanta Falcons, a team that's not very good, a team that's offensively challenged, and they explode like that in the first half.
Lions should not have won 3 of those games. They should not have won.
New Orleans or
Saints,
Atlanta.
I think
Atlanta.
you're saying New Orleans because New Orleans is your favorite team.
No, the Lions are my favorite team. But
New Orleans beat Green Bay. They lead the division.
the Lions were down.
21-0.
No, against New Orleans. I mean,
Oh,
the
yeah.
Lions were down the whole game.
Yeah, you're right.
They did not lead until the end of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't lead for long.
I don't know if that's resiliency or props to Jim Caldwell.
Is it magic?
No.
It's not magic.
No.
These are not miracles.
It's pure luck and pure coincidence.
I think it's
It's
a lot of luck.
Stafford's not the greatest quarterback in the land.
No, he's not.
He's
It's
turned the
luck.
ball. He's fumbled the football quite a bit.
There's a lot that needs to be addressed because the schedule does get harder. The road games are tougher. They can't play like they did past couple weeks and expect to win ball games.
No.
Thank God the bye week comes at a good time for this team.
It does. Now, you mentioned Reggie Bush being out. Has Reggie Bush been all that good this year?
No.
What about Theo Riddick? Does he not fill in serviceably?
Yes,
For Reggie
you know
Bush?
what I mean? He's a good backup running back. You know what I mean? Like,
I think
despite the fact they have Joy Bell on the team.
I think they got to find a little more room for Theo Riddick. Honestly, I think he can catch and get out in space.
Could you put him in the slot and you could put Tate at the Y and maybe Calvin at the Z?
Yeah.
I think that's possible.
Yeah. You get Big Joe Fourier back.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Eric Ebron will be coming back.
What has he really done?
Nothing.
Not much.
That was a wasted draft pick.
Yeah.
Wasted draft pick.
Yes.
But I
agree.
mean the fact that there's a character win for the Lions.
Yeah. All right. I want one word before we go to break. What was the Lions' first half? And I want one word of what you think the second half's going to be. You got one?
The season,
Yes.
the first half. Great
Great.
first half.
Yep.
Hopefully better second half.
Hopefully is a word that we always say with the Lions. Sam, you got a couple words for me?
Can you hit the panic button here, please?
Oh, not the drums. Oh, boy.
the Lions.
That's the Lions?
Disaster.
They're waiting to explode.
Disaster. They're going to implode. They're going to collapse. They're going to collapse, and Joe Velez will be so happy that the Lions will not make the playoffs this year.
I hate to say it.
You
But
can hit that panic meter.
I can't believe I agree with such a sick and twisted mind.
Lions will miss the playoffs.
If they miss the playoffs again, this year, I'm never watching them again. And I promise you that.
They're on the verge of disaster.
I don't know.
They're going to
We'll
be
see.
a disaster.
When we come back, we'll be back.
The Orion Lighted Parade is a tradition that ushers in the holiday season here in the Orion area. Families line the streets in the village to enjoy this festive event, but it wouldn't be possible without the Holly Jolly Folly. This year's fundraiser is scheduled to take place on Friday, December 5th at Golling Buick GMC, located at 1491 South Lapeer Road. Enjoy live entertainment, a silent auction, a cash bar, and a 50-50 raffle. Food will be provided by Italia Gardens. Tickets are $35 per person and are available at Golling Buick GMC. For more information, call the Orion Area Parade Group at 248-802-5521 or visit orionlightedparade.org.
Welcome back to the program, ladies and gentlemen. And from one team that's miraculously winning, I think we got to touch on a team that's miraculously losing, and that is our hometown Dragons, who lost to Adams on Friday. Boys, what do we got?
Out of the playoffs, first time since 2000, and first losing season since 1996. This defense has been awful. I can't even explain it.
Are we surprised, though?
Well,
Seeing how the first 4 games went, weren't they 2-2?
those were 2 games they should not have lost.
So can't we kind of expound upon seeing the season was not going to go the way we're
You know, when I look at the game that the 2 games they should have won was Chippewa Valley and Oxford. I mean, when you look at if Lake Orion would win at least both those games, you know, we would not be talking the situation. If West Bloomfield would have been, if that game with West Bloomfield, you know, that was a shocker right there. The blowout loss to Clarks, that was a shocker. Lake Orion had a chance to win the Adams game. They did, but Adams went down the field, time possession football, running that veer option, that triple option, veer option offense. They just ran it down the Dragons' throats, and that's what happened. And of course, their defense has been god awful this year. I mean, like I said last year, that this was the worst. That last year's team was the worst defensive team I've ever seen. This year's team is probably the worst defensive team I've ever seen in my life.
You can't fault the kids' effort here. The kids worked very, very hard this year, but it was a very, very tight defense. You know, one thing is I'm not going to fault the kids for effort. I'm not going to, you know, because the kids play hard. Kids are kids. That's the most important thing. You know, it's a shell shock as an alum because, I mean, every year, whether you're an alum, whether if you're a student or Lake Orion community resident, you expect Lake Orion to be in the playoffs. That's been that way since 2000, and you expect Lake Orion to have a winning season, which Lake Orion hasn't had a losing season until now since 1996. So, you know, you have to fault quite a bit of things. You have to fault, you know, this team was not as talented was not as talented this year. This team, I would say that maybe some of the coaching decisions was a bit predictable. I post it perfectly on the blog. We were too predictable on offense.
Correct.
Going with the running the ball almost every time, not trusting the passing game at all. Well, I mean, for the most part, not trusting the passing game at all. It's very difficult with 2 quarterbacks. Both quarterbacks worked very hard, deserved to play, but when you have 2 quarterbacks, that's kind of very difficult with chemistry. And also, you look at the defense. The defense was very, very tight all year. I mean, it wasn't
soft.
Very tight, very afraid to make a mistake. And obviously, when you play very tight defense, you know, you play very tight. You know, you tend to have that feeling being very soft, not putting pressure on the football. A lot of teams were able to get away with that. I would say that Lake Orion's got a lot of things to fix this offseason.
They got to do some soul searching. They got to get a new identity. When you look at this team, you're right.
You're saying the jerseys are one.
Yeah, that's one. They were too predictable on offense. You know, if I'm Coach Bell, if I'm Chris Bell, I am getting a deep wide receiver threat and addressing this issue right now. Because if this team would have had at least two wide receivers who could catch the ball, you know, then you know what I mean. You're going to make the defense feel honest, and of course you're going to make the and it'll improve your running game a lot better. Problem is, this team did not want to do that. The problem is, when you look at it here, when you run the ball periodically, everybody's going to catch up. They're going to take that away. And what's going to happen to you if you don't have a good passing game? What's going to happen? We got West Bloomfield, we got Clarkson in that game. Defensively, where is the pressure? Where is that pressure? Where is the linebacking support? This team had no linebacking support this year. Wow. They had and of course your secondary. You know what I mean? Like, you know.
My point is this: I would not. As I said, I'm not attacking how hard the kids play. I am not attacking how the effort of the kids and how they played this year. I'm not attacking how my view is that this was a down year. I don't think any of us expected the Dragons to miss the playoffs and to have a losing season. I think a lot of us expected the Dragons to have a quote down year. A down year typically means 6-3 or something around among those lines. But the situation is that there's a lot of blame that can go around. But is there a lot of things that can be fixed? Sure. I feel bad for these seniors because this was a good senior class. I mean, these are really good kids. The talent was not there, but these are very good kids who worked very hard on that football field, and they're going to be alums just like us next year. And they're just as much a part of Lake Orion football as you are, even I as an announcer, you look at as you were. You know what I'm saying, Sam? I would say, if you look at it next season, there's going to be a lot of things that have got to get done. There's 6 home games next year. It's how this group responds. Do I think there's going to be changes made? Yes, there has to be. You cannot go 4-5 and not make any changes. Lake Orion football's got to come back. Lake Orion football's got to be a lot more in terms of, going back to the base, going back to that smart decision-making, relentless defense. The offense has got to be a lot more balanced. I think that you got a pretty good junior varsity group coming up. You got a pretty good freshman group coming up, and you look at the senior class, is going to be just like all the other alumni, going to become mentors for this upcoming junior class. And I think that it's going to work out next year, and I think that Lake Orion will get back to the playoffs next year. It's just this year, unfortunately, was not meant to be. Week 1 and Week 4, yeah, those were the 2 games that we should have won.
This team needs an identity.
And Adams,
this
same thing.
team needs an identity, a new identity, especially what happened this year. Especially what happened this year. I mean, even if it's having to change the jerseys, I would be in full support of changing the football jerseys because they have not had a good luck with those in trends of fashion. But when you look at this team on the field, I don't understand why you're starting 11 sophomores when you have almost 85, 90 kids on the roster. I don't understand it at all. But
you can't fault the
you
kids.
can't fault the kids. You know what I mean?
Nobody's faulting kids.
Nobody's
We're just talking
faulting
about
the kids.
results.
It's just I just don't understand why you can't have your class playing with your class. You know what I mean? Like those 11 sophomores this year should have been playing JV. They're good kids, but they should have been playing JV this year and
stay with the classes.
Yeah, stay with the classes. It would have made it a lot better if they would have came up together, you know what I mean, and not be forced to move up. Now, I know injuries is a huge concern about that, but that's something that has to be addressed.
So basically developing depth.
Yep.
Real quick before we go to break,
that's fair.
how's Ryan Irish? Did you talk to him?
Coach Irish is doing very well.
Did you say hello?
Yes, I did. I would say that, hopefully he'd come out to one of our track meets, particularly at city meet. That would be interesting. But he's doing well. Lot of indications going around. I don't know for sure or not, but a lot of rumors going around. This could be his last game. So if it is, he had a great career.
For a while.
For football. So
forever.
Yeah.
Or for a bit.
Yeah. Forever.
Like he's done.
That's what I've heard.
Potentially.
Potentially, yeah.
God bless him. Good man, Ryan Irish.
Well, a lot of our class and a lot of other classes loved him. I think Irish would have been a great mentor if he came back home.
Oh, yeah.
But it is what it is.
We'll see what happens. Time will tell. When we come back, we're going to talk about sports.
Hello, Lake Orion. It's Anthony Taormina, co-host of Between Taorminas. I want to let you know of a new show called History Now. In it, we're going to talk about global, national, and political events that occur in our lifetime. We're going to also have guests and also have co-hosts as well, and also plenty of surprises. Catch us on History Now here on ONTV.
Hello, Lake Orion and Oakland County. This is Sammy Taormina here, talking a new show here called OA Now. We're going to talk about sports from football to basketball to volleyball to track and field to soccer, cross country, etc. here on OA Now on ONTV.
Welcome back to Between the Taorminas here on ONTV.
You were awful.
That sounded good. No, that sounded pretty good. Don't worry about it.
You are
Listen, guys, we didn't even touch on college football.
Yeah.
And there's some rankings coming out tonight. Condoleezza Rice is having some rankings come out
Hey,
tonight.
if I see her, this is what she gets.
Why? Because she's
Why?
the next commissioner of the NFL.
No, she's not.
Maybe not the next. She might be the commissioner of the NFL one day.
That'll be frightening.
I'm not lying
That
to
would
you.
be frightening.
I'm not lying to you. What do we think? MSU got a shot? Where are they at right now? Top 10 for the
Fifth in
playoffs.
the coaches poll.
In the playoff rankings, where is Michigan State going to sit?
I think they're going to sit at 6
6? I can agree with that.
because Oregon will be 5th.
I'm a little upset about that, Oregon.
Yeah.
They lost at home
Arizona.
to Arizona. Spartans lost the second game of the year
To Oregon.
on the road.
At Eugene. They were crushed.
That doesn't add up.
I think that well, a lot of it is the Big Ten's not getting the recognition.
No.
I think that the Big Ten obviously took a hit those for a few weeks,
Yes.
especially to the MAC.
Well, it's been interesting, though, because you had teams like Indiana beat Missouri,
Missouri.
down in Missouri.
Down in Columbia.
Missouri looks god-awful, though, huh? Didn't they get housed by Georgia?
They were Florida pretty bad.
Florida's
Florida?
terrible.
We hope Will was champ.
Yeah, you love Will Muschamp.
He should be fired.
Yeah, you love him. College football's pretty wild. There's no undefeateds left,
No,
except for
Florida State.
Florida State, which
they should be.
I think they're gonna
They
lose.
should have lost to Notre Dame.
I think they lose this week and they lose in 2 weeks when they play the U.
wait, who they got this week?
Louisville.
In
At
Louisville? Okay, that'll be interesting.
You know, Florida State's faced with scandal. It wouldn't be surprising in 2 years we talk about scandal and vacating of wins.
Potentially.
Potentially, it's possible.
You know, it's just interesting they're having their rankings come out today when there are still the most important games of the year left. Auburn and Alabama,
And
MSU,
Alabama,
OSU,
Yep, MSU, OSU. You got them.
Mississippi State,
Mississippi
and,
State, Alabama.
Ole Miss.
and Ole
Ole
Miss.
Miss, Egbo. Mississippi State's got to play Alabama. Oh, still got to play out. Oh, wait, Mississippi State already played Alabama. Oh, no, yeah, you're right. Ole Miss played them.
Yes. So it doesn't really mean much right now.
No.
There's
it
a lot of
doesn't.
football left to be played.
No.
Thoughts from Michigan, Michigan State?
That was one of the greatest Spartan dominations I've seen.
It wasn't as good as last
Why
year.
would you put-
Wasn't as good as last year.
First of all, why would you put a what was it?
Steak.
Steak on the opposing field.
Why would
You know
Michigan do
that's going to
anything?
motivate. You know that's going to motivate Michigan State, and that's why they scored that last touchdown.
It is. I think Michigan State also left some points on the board, though.
They did.
2 fumbles.
Yep.
I think that you have to give Michigan's defense some credit. Michigan's defense did do very well in the game. But, you know, Michigan State is outright better than Michigan right now.
No competition.
Right now, I would say that I have to give special shout out to Michigan State.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
Rob Aiello.
A country Bob.
Doing very, very well. Saw him at the Clarkston game, doing extremely well. I'm glad that he's doing well. Taking some tough hits at practice, but I'm extremely proud of him. Keep up the good work.
Country Bob's a good man,
Oh, yeah.
and he's a Spartan. You love the Spartans.
I have great respect for them.
Michigan is overrated. I think Brady.
They're
Hoke,
not overrated.
Yeah, they are.
They're not even rated.
Brady Hoke gets fired at the end of the year.
No kidding.
Yeah, Brady Hoke gets fired.
Him and Dave Branner will walk out of Ann Arbor hand in hand.
Yep.
You two agree on something.
And we got the opening night of NBA tonight.
Opening night of the NBA.
Pistons won't make the playoffs.
All right, listen, you bub. They don't got Mo Cheese anymore as their coach. They got Stan Van Gundy.
You know,
He's a good
Ian,
coach.
I'm probably going to have to, I have an inside source with
Okay.
the, first things first, I got to give a special
Another
shout
shout
out
out.
to
Go to the shout outs.
Orlando Magic, particularly with my
God.
former managerial partner in crime, Mr. Matt Stahelski, who works with the Orlando Magic. MStat, great job. Also, thank you for giving me updates on the Detroit Pistons and how you feel about them. Thanks. I'm proud of you, bud. Anyways, the Pistons are, I think that the Pistons are not, you know, they're not as good as what people think.
Who thinks they're good?
Who thinks they're good?
They're not. I mean, they're very,
They
very.
don't shoot well.
They're very, very, you know, I think the Pistons are going to struggle this year. I don't know if they'll make playoffs.
Can we make a bet right now?
What?
I'll bet you they make the playoffs.
You're on. You're on.
What are we betting?
You want to bet dinner?
Yeah, I want to
Let's
bet
do
dinner
it.
for a year.
Dinner, yeah. Let's
You
do
heard it right.
Okay,
Dinner.
the East stinks.
I know the East stinks. I think the Pistons
The
don't
East
make
stinks.
the playoffs.
Come on.
You got, well, your division's tough. You got Cleveland, Chicago,
Mm-hmm.
Indiana.
Indiana. Oh, who they got? Rodney Stuckey now?
Yep.
Yeah,
and
where's Paul
Milwaukee.
George?
And
Milwaukee?
And Milwaukee. Yeah, the Pistons, I think,
And-
are going to be behind those 4 teams in the division.
Hey, gentlemen, do you think that the Kansas City Royals will bounce back against the Giants?
Yes, they
I'm
will. They'll
drooling.
go 7 games, and Ian Weatherspoon will be dancing when the Kansas City Royals win the World Series. As I told him 5 months ago.
If the Kansas City
Hit that panic
Royals,
button meter.
if the Kansas City Royals win the World Series, I will immediately walk out into the yard with a shovel. I will dig my own grave. I will jump in it.
Hit that panic button meter.
I will refill it, and I'll just end it.
I'll dig it for you.
Okay, fine.
Yep. That's you.
If they win before the Tigers win it, that will kill me. That will put me in an early grave.
I'll put you in there. And of course,
All right.
we got hockey tonight.
Hockey tonight.
Got Dallas playing tonight.
Got the Wings playing tonight.
Who you got?
Washington?
St. Louis.
Me?
Me, I got St.
Oh.
Louis.
I think
The
we-
Avs
we-
are struggling.
What do you guys? You get a win yet?
Yeah, they got.
We've got to win. It's just that we're struggling.
Mm.
We've lost to a couple of bad teams we shouldn't lose to, like the Florida Panthers or the Winnipeg Jets.
What about the Wild?
No comment on the Wild.
How's Zach Parise doing?
No comment.
Okay. Any other sports nuggets you want to hit on before we call this one a wrap?
Well, of course, let's spend this a special shout out to the.
What is with the shout-outs? You got any call-outs?
The Scripps Middle School
Oh, God.
football teams. Of course, the 7th graders beat both Walden and Oakview. And, of course, the 8th graders beat both Walden and Oakview pretty handily. City champions, both 7th and 8th grade. Got to give some love to the Scripps football team. And even got to give some love to the Scripps cheerleading teams.
I'd like to give
What is with the shout-outs?
special shout-outs to the Lake Orion cross-country team. Both the boys and the girls qualified for the MHSA state championship. The boys cross-country team won the regional championship, while the girls cross-country team finished 3rd place. Automat and the top 3 teams go to states. So I'm very, very proud of both cross-country teams. Also, Lake Orion girls golf team, 2nd place in the state tournament. Very, very good showing by Coach Monty Gallagher and the girls golf team.
He was my seminar teacher in 9th grade.
Good man.
It's what was his saying? He had a saying. You can either help the education process or you can hinder the education process.
Hey,
You were a hinderer.
We know deep down, both of you guys are going to respect Scripps athletics.
No call-outs?
None.
Well, this was a waste of a half hour. Take care, everybody. Happy Halloween.